Anyone can lead when things are going well, but the true test of leadership happens when pressure rises and emotions run high and uncertainty is increasing and everybody's looking around for direction. It's in those moments that leadership is not defined by titles or your charisma or your expertise. No, it's going to be defined by your presence. You and I both know that great leaders don't simply stay calm, they remain grounded. I can't wait to dive into this conversation. So come on, let's get started. Welcome to Transformation Station Leadership Podcast, where we explore leadership principles and mindset shifts and transformational conversations that help leaders like you and I to grow, both personally and professionally. I'm your host, Adrienne Benton, and today we're discussing a leadership quality that is often overlooked but desperately needed in today's world. We're talking about calm and we're talking about grounded presence. Now, before we get into this conversation with our exquisite and amazing guest today, I want to remind you of a few things. Number one, I want to remind you the journal, A Greater Force Than Failure, Intentional Time with God, it's out there and ready for you. It walks you through a 4-step process on how to overcome when you've made a mistake. So go ahead and grab your copy from Amazon.com, Kindle, or paperback. It's yours. And be sure to share it with others in your network and go through it together. I also want to remind you that we believe that the community that prays together sees miracles and growth together. Every month we have the Mobilizing Prayer Circle. We just had one this past week. And guess what? Man, the testimonies were amazing. And as leaders, we are growing. So we want to invite you. Our next Mobilizing Prayer Circle is on July 12th. You see the time. This one says June 7th, but July 12th will be our next one, 8 p.m. CET. That's here in Italy. And then 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time based off of the United States. I know we're a global community, so use this as a reference and find the time that is in accordance with where you're located. The Mobilizing Prayer Circle, we want you to join us so that we can continue to grow together. Well, listen, we're talking about beyond staying calm, why grounded presence defines great leadership, not just casual, but we're talking about great leadership today. And today we have our guest. His name is Jay. We're talking about Jay Jacobson, a funeral director, entrepreneur, and a leadership voice shaped by moments where pressure and grief and responsibility collide. Jay has testified before the United States Senate on funeral ethics and draws on decades of experience in disaster response, business ownership, and mentoring leaders to explore what leadership looks like when it actually matters. He's the author of Lead by Legendary Example, a story-driven book on integrity and presence and service and legacy in real-world leadership. It is my absolute honor to welcome to Transformation Station, Jay. Welcome. We're so glad that you are with us today.
Adrienne, it's a genuine pleasure to be here. I'm coming to you from the heartland of the United States, just outside of Des Moines, Iowa, and it's a beautiful day here, and it looks like it's a beautiful evening in Italy.
It sure is. It sure is. Well, listen, Jay, I'm excited about this conversation because I have found that over the years, many people assume that leadership is only talking about communication or strategy or decision making. But you know what? I have found, Jay, that before a leader says a word, they communicate something through their presence. A leader's emotional state often becomes the emotional climate. And as I was preparing for this session, I was thinking to myself, you know, many of the leaders that I admire the most, one of the things that I admire about them is their ability to be calm under pressure, their ability to still lead with focus under pressure during difficult seasons. So I want to start off by asking you this question. Grounded presence. What does grounded presence mean? And why is that different from simply staying calm?
Well, grounded presence encompasses a great deal of the attributes of true leadership, of the principle of the integrity, the principle of being fully present in the moment, to understand the room, to understand the dialogue, both spoken and unspoken, that's going on, and to be able to step into those situations and be able to slow everything down, to bring that calm, that presence, bring that grace into the room that allows people to breathe, allows them to communicate what their needs are. And then you can begin to help them. You can help walk them through. But people will follow you when you're able to bring that calm. And the real measure of a leader versus someone with a title is, are people willing to follow you? Are they inspired to follow the direction that you're pointing? That's the hallmark of leadership. If they're just following orders, you're not much of a leader. But step up, be present, and understand the situation and help walk through it.
Yes, I love this. Transformation Station, you know that we always like to stop and assess and really listen for what is resonating with us. And I'm going to give you a moment right here. Go ahead in the chat, in the comment section, and tell us what is resonating with you from what Jay has already shared with us, because he just gave us a masterclass. Like, he gave us a whole mouthful to just sit and be like, Yes, so true. You know, Jay, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself that staying calm, at times it may be a temporary reaction, but grounded presence is a consistent state of awareness, a state of intentionality. You know, I think with grounded presence, you have to be intentional. I am going to intentionally focus right now. I'm going to intentionally respond and not react. And, you know, you talked about the team, like, people don't just simply follow what you say, they respond to how we show up.
Exactly. And unfortunately, those skills that you need in those crisis moments, they don't just come with the crisis.
No.
They have to be cultivated. They have to be practiced. They have to come from a life of balance, a life of balancing your career, your personal life, your spiritual life, and having those all in the proper order, in the proper level of importance, so that when those moments of crisis show up, you draw on all three of those. And you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you can make decisions and you can pivot without losing your principles. Yes. And that's the real measure, is if you understand your mission, if you understand your values and your principles, you can pivot. But those principles keep you grounded in who you are.
Yes, yes, I love that. And listeners and viewers, leaders, Jay and I have a best practice that we want to share with you right here. Best practice: pause before responding during stressful situations and reconnect with your values before making decisions. It's really important that you understand your values and that you reconnect to them before you make a major decision when you are in a stressful situation. What do you think about that?
I agree completely. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they understand mission, they understand values and direction when it comes to work, but they rarely apply that to their own life. They have not spent the emotional work to establish those values, to write them down for themselves. Who am I? What do I stand for? Where am I going? And what road do I want to take there? Is it going to be a road filled with morals and value, or is it going to be the easy road that leads to destruction? You have to understand those things. You have to have that grounded faith. You have to have that grounded understanding of your own personal structure and mission.
1000%. I'm learning so much right now. This is fantastic. I want to ask you this question, Jay. Why do teams look to leaders for emotional cues during uncertainty or crisis?
Because they haven't practiced those themselves. They don't have a full grasp of who they are, what the situation is, how to process it. And so they look to people who have practiced that, people who are well grounded in making those tough decisions and live in that environment. And in funeral service, that's the environment we live in all day. Every single one of the conversations that we have with our client families are what I call critical conversations, highly charged, very emotional, and there's very serious outcomes that come out of those conversations.
Yeah.
And when you practice daily in that environment, you
Mm.
learn how to slow down, you learn how to listen, and you learn how to guide. And then when you step out of that environment, those skills are still there. And so no
Yes.
matter what the situation is in your personal or your public life, people are naturally gravitating to those kind of people who can remain calm, that
Mm.
can think quickly and come up with solutions to the issues that are right in front of them.
Mm, I love that. So, you know, it really is true as I listen to you when they say that a leader's reaction can either calm anxiety or amplify it. Mm.
Yes.
And I love the illustration that you gave, the real life one that you have, right? When you're in that environment and you're talking to families in emotionally charged situations, it's
And
really important.
exactly, we're dealing with family members who, with the dysfunction in a lot of families, they don't even want to be in the same room together, let
Yeah.
alone have to make decisions together. And as the person who's in charge in that room, it's our role to help bridge the gap, to
Hmm.
understand the body language, to understand the tone behind some of the words, and
Hmm.
bring in solutions that help guide all sides of the family to come to a decision that everybody's happy with. And
Hmm.
it's a challenge, and that's the environment we work in. And when you apply that outside of it, it is almost magical in the way that your mind processes those kind of small crisis situations.
Mm. So, leaders, we have another best practice for you, right? Communicate facts clearly, like what Jay is describing,
Mhm.
while projecting confidence and realistic optimism. Don't be fake and phony about it, but
No, no.
realistic optimism, right? Let that be in the room because we transfer emotional energy to those that we are leading. So, let me ask you this question. From your experience, what habits help leaders develop a grounded presence instead of becoming reactive? Ooh.
I I can answer that with a story,
Yes,
a little
please.
bit of background, and I share a little of this in my book. I come from two very large families. On my mom's side, there were 10 kids. On my dad's side, there were five. And every other Sunday, we would go and have Sunday dinner with one family or the other. They couldn't be more opposite in terms of the environment. One was very stoic, the other one was very joyous. But as a child, watching the adults, watching the way they interacted, the body language, the expression on the face, the tone, it teaches you how to read a room. And unfortunately, today, that's a crisis we're seeing with a lot of our younger people coming into the workforce, is they don't understand how to read the room.
Mm.
At the very time between age 13 and age 20, when we learn those skills naturally, we're handing them a cell phone or a tablet or a computer. And so their communication skills are hampered by all they're using is text. They're
Yes.
missing the nuance of the facial expression, of the tone in the room, the body language. And so a good deal of my time now is spent in helping those young people in the workforce understand that deficit and help them retrain their brain to be able to fully engage with the people around them, to look them in the eye. And if you look too long at some of these young people in the eye right now, it makes them very uncomfortable because they haven't learned that skill. They haven't seen anybody actually be fully present, looking at them and trying to communicate with them. So we have
Mm.
to help unlearn some of those issues so that they can be comfortable and sit with somebody and actually have them look in the eye
Mm.
without darting away.
Mm. I love this. What is one of your best practices when you think about this as it pertains to being able to um to teach, to mentor, to help young people nowadays to be able to understand these nuances?
Probably my best tool, and it works well in the funeral home, and it works well in any industry when you're working with people.
Mhm.
Don't start with a form. Don't
Mhm.
pull out a contract. Don't pull out a form to gather information. Start out with a blank sheet of paper and
Mm.
start asking questions. Like in our field, it's like, tell me about your mom, tell me about your dad. In a sales situation, it can be, Tell me about what your goals are when you're purchasing this item. What fits your situation best so I can help you? It forms that connection with the client. It says, I'm not here to sell you something. I'm here to hear you. I'm here to be present with what your needs are. And then we're going to help you find a solution to that problem, what you need in a way that is you focused instead of what I need to sell today.
Yeah. Yeah. I have found over the years as a leader that when my team feels seen, when they feel heard, man, they're willing to stay late. They're willing to do the tasks that make, that they don't really enjoy. They're willing to contribute to the unity, to getting the mission accomplished because they feel seen and heard. And so leaders, when we talk about the habits that help develop a grounded presence instead of becoming reactive, this is for you as well as this is for you leading your team. You can sow into this. That's why I asked Jay, what are some of the practices of mentoring? Because we all are mentors. We all are coaches. We all are examples. And so we want to invite you. Yes, please.
And you model the behavior that you want to see. And when you correct people, you do it privately. When you praise people, you do it publicly. But when you correct people, you correct it also, not only this is what you need to do, but you add that second component that says, this is why. This is the rationale behind, so that you help train them to think about why did we make this, not just we need to make a different choice, but why. What is the outcome that you want? And why does this solution work better than perhaps the one they chose?
I love that. I love that 1000%. So I'm going to ask you this question. How does grounded presence improve decision-making? This is key during high pressure situations.
When you're practicing grounded presence, you are taking everything in. You understand what's going on in the room. You understand the people. You've gotten to know the people you're going to be working with as best as you can. You know their skills, you know their weaknesses. And so just having that grounded presence of knowing the situation as thoroughly as you can helps you make better decisions. It helps you use the resources, whether it's the facilities you have, the people you have, the materials you have, in the most productive way. And that's really the key to having that type of grounded presence, is that full, complete understanding, being completely engulfed in the situation and having as thorough an understanding of what's going on as you possibly can.
I love that. When you're talking, I'm thinking that, our clarity grows, our confidence grows, our calmness grows when we're not controlled by the urgency. Yeah.
Chaos ensues when we don't understand what's going on, when we don't have all the information. That's when we're most challenged to make good decisions and avoid those mistakes. But taking the time to understand what's going on before you jump in always provides better outcomes.
I'm going to put you on the spot for a moment. Can you share with us a story, an illustration, or when you saw this in practice?
Absolutely. I'll tell the story about when I ended up testifying before the United States Senate. And we had spent months to prepare for that. It was supposed to be a congenial meeting. We were going to testify and tell the American people and our legislators what's going on in funeral service, what are the positive things that we're doing, and how have some of the regulations helped. And so I got on the plane, I got to Washington, D.C., I got off the plane, and my lobbyist for the association met me, and I could tell by the expression on his face something was terribly wrong. And he informed me that we were about to be ambushed. And 36 hours later, I'm supposed to be sitting in front of this Senate hearing, and I'm going to be on the hot seat. And so we spent the next 36 hours without any sleep, completely redrafting everything that we had prepared and putting it in a situation and with the understanding that here I am, I'm in my early 30s. I'm very new to this field, but I'm going to be sitting in this seat representing thousands of funeral directors and funeral homes across the country.
Mercy.
And it is up to me to set the record straight, to stand up to misinformation, to stand up to an agenda that was being presented, that funeral service is fraught with problems. And it was just calling on all of the skills, all of the integrity, and the leadership presence that I have spent my entire life from age 9 on developing, to be able to sit in that room and call out my senator and say, the information you're providing does not reflect the truth about what funeral service is. And it's just being able to be in that moment and know you have those skills behind you. And as long as you stay true to your mission, true to your values, and do it with integrity, you're going to do all right.
I love that. Leaders, you have your own stories. We want to go ahead and hear them. So please, in the comment section, go ahead and share with Jay and I. What's your stories where you saw this put into practice in real time? Ooh, Jay, this has been an amazing conversation. As we turn the corner here, I want to ask you, because I know that there are leaders that are listening and watching right now, and they're like, you know what, Jay and Adrienne, yes. I believe in this, but I feel overwhelmed. Or, I want to be able to respond and not react, but I think I'm kind of disconnected. So for the leader right now that's listening and watching that feels overwhelmed, for the leader that feels disconnected, where can they begin to rebuild a grounded presence?
That's a very good question, because most leaders that I've worked with, when they're feeling overwhelmed, they're trying to tackle the whole problem all at once. And large problems can be solved one piece at a time. So you take that one little piece, you solve that piece, you build on it. You start building trust with your coworkers. You start building trust with your team. And that's how you start solving these larger problems. It's just that one little thing, and just focus on that. Have that one success today. It builds on the success tomorrow. And I've often coached with just a simple phrase: what are you doing today to make tomorrow better? And that can be solving that one problem. It can be some continued learning in a field that you have a deficit. Start picking up something, start learning, so that tomorrow you have one more skill that you can apply to that leadership responsibility.
I love it. So I'm going to ask you to do one more thing off the cuff, right? There's a leader right now. They themselves, we're not talking about their team. They themselves, they're kind of caught. They're dealing with grief while still trying to lead. What would you say to encourage that leader?
I would say, number one, pull back and reground yourself. Pull back, focus in on your faith, get regrounded in what is really important. Re-examine the balance between your life, your family, your faith, your work, and start putting the perspective together. Okay, this is a problem I'm dealing with. How does it fit into the rest? How do I use the other things to help support? And one of the things I've noticed, particularly in funeral service, and I had two very good mentors when I first started off. One of them was 85 years old, Mr. Bickford. And at 85, he was very well grounded. He was very genuine as far as a person. He was the same whether he was helping me learn what I needed to learn in the funeral home, or if he was with his family, or if he was out in the community. And he was very strong in his faith. Now, the owner of the funeral home was 27. He was very good at the funeral home. He was very good at teaching me. But when he got outside of the funeral home, he didn't have that faith. He didn't have that grounded mission, and his life fell apart. Wow. He ended up with alcohol and drug addiction. He ended up losing his family, and ultimately ended up losing his business. And just focusing back on that dichotomy of the two funeral directors and the two mentors that I had, and learning the importance of the faith, number one, the balance in your life, and the integrity of being who you are in every situation, versus the the young man who was very good only in one area and let the other areas falter. It's like a three-legged stool and you've kicked out two legs. It's not going to stand up. So it's very important to have that balance, to step back and reassess.
Yes.
Now that's a long answer to the question you
Great.
gave me, but I think it paints a good picture of what leaders need to look at when they're experiencing any kind of grief or any kind of struggle.
I love that. What an amazing resource you are. So, Jay, I know that there are listeners and viewers that have enjoyed this and they want more. I know that they want to know more about your book and they want to tap into the resources that you have. Tell us, what's the best way for our audience to be able to engage with you?
The best place to reach me is at my website that you're showing, jacobsonprostaff.com. On that, you'll have access to my blog posts, which we talk every week about leadership. So you can subscribe to that blog so it comes into your email. There's a link in there to purchase my book, Lead by Legendary Example. And that book is an extensive leadership manual, written unlike any other leadership book you'll probably pick up, because it's real life stories, everything from testifying before the Senate to working post United Air 232 air disaster, to being a paper boy at age 9, and the lessons that built leadership from those experiences. Now, the book is available on Amazon. It's available in audio format on Amazon or in Apple. It's interesting. The audiobook I did not record myself. We had a fabulous gentleman by the name of Fred Lane that recorded it for us. And it was interesting because he would email me and he would say, I understand why you couldn't read this yourself. He said, it is so emotionally written. It is so full of good, colorful stories that I'm having to record this 3 and 4 times to get it right. And so it is a good read. The last third of the book is a 10-week session on leadership skill development that you can take and use it with your own team. But that's available again on Amazon and also on Apple.
Love this. Thank you. All right. Transformation Station, you know that we like to support our guests. You see the link here on the screen. The links to Jay's social media are also in the description box. Now, you need to go ahead and get this book. You know how we like to support. So go ahead and click on the link, get the book now. And then Jay said, you know, you can also use the book, not just for yourself, but for your teams as well. Let's spread the knowledge. Jay, it has been wonderful to host you here. Thank you so much for adding so much content and value to Transformation Station Leadership Podcast. Thank you.
Well, Adrienne, it's been a genuine pleasure. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, today's conversation reminds us that leadership is not just about what we accomplish. It's about who we become while leading. And in a world that's filled with noise and urgency and constant change, grounded presence may be one of the greatest gifts that you as a leader can offer. People need to know that you don't have every answer, but they need to know that you can remain steady while navigating uncertainty. I want to thank you for joining us for this conversation on Beyond Staying Calm, why grounded presence defines great leadership. And remember, your presence often speaks before your words do. So until next time, stay grounded, stay intentional, and keep leading forward with clarity and purpose.